Welcome to Planet Collingwood. My name's Monty Dean. Open Roundtable here on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. A big thank you to Why Not and the crew for the Y-Files. Only caught the last 10 minutes because I actually did homework for this week's show because I've got a feeling we have something to talk about. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to said website, which is freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio, and donate what you can because we're 100% listener supported and all your help is much needed, and we're very, very grateful so we can continue broadcasting in our 9th year, I believe, coming here. And it's the 30th of September, so the great song by Green Day, Wake Me When September Ends. Well, that's now. Time to wake up, ladies and gents. If you'd like to join me on the roundtable, we've got a full house, but I'm sure we could squeeze you in. We'll get some deck chairs and put up a card table. You'll be fine. It is Monty_Dean on Skype, or you can try and call in on Freedom Screen. Once you've donated at the website, pop into the chat room and hang out with awesome people. I'm reading Jabez there, of course, and SJ, and I sound like I'm in Romper Room, and I can see Rudolph and Jimmy Jean and all that. So, what's been happening? Well, only 3 hours ago, we had... No, not 3. Wait, I'm doing maths. 5 hours ago, we saw Captain Cranky Pants and Colonel Where Are My Pants have a debate. So I'll introduce our guests so we can talk about the first presidential debate where Trump versus Biden and Chris Dude, because, yeah, we'll get into that. It's very interesting. I have been joined by a plethora of awesome. We have Steve Zerilath, Cortek, John Z, the mechanic, and John. Gentlemen, talk all at once and say hello.
Hey, hi.
Doctor, I'm glad I'm not sick. First question off the rank. Who didn't see the debate?
I did.
Oh, well, it is on C-SPAN or on YouTube. You can find it, and it is... Yeah, I only watch the good stuff.
Is that John Z? Is that John Z saying he didn't see the debate?
Is that the mechanic? Is that the mechanic telling me I didn't see the debate? Wow.
Outstanding.
And the way I see that, I just had 2 guys in Brooklyn yelling at each other from 2 buildings. Hey, didn't you watch it? Hey,
no, it's got to be across the street. It's got to be across the street. It has to be in line of sight.
Yelling here. I'm trying to talk with my neighbor. Shut up.
It's been a good long time since, Americans have had a nice, robust debate between 2 a-holes. The way America's supposed to debate. 2 a-holes yell at each other until the other one doesn't know how to respond.
Yeah, which could last 20 seconds because we've got Joe Biden in the mix. I know you love the meme that I shared, which I borrowed from Twitter, where you had it's a Grandpa Simpson shot where man yells at cloud, but they've done a reverse where it's old man yells at old man. And it's like, well, even Biden said, will you shut up? And like, 5-year-olds, let's go. And Chris, who was the moderator from Fox News? Chris someone. I can't remember his last name.
He was a spineless weasel.
That's a very long last name.
I hear they're trying to push for Joe Rogan to do the next one. That'd be good.
I think everyone wants to do Joe Rogan.
If they step out of line, he could just come in and clock at one of them.
Yeah, I know. It's like, Joe was like, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to walk over and thump you.
Like, what?
And I'm going to commentate it as an awesome commentator.
Sir, if you don't stop your shenanigans right now, I'm going to put you in a Kimura.
This is Wing Chun, bang, and now some jiu-jitsu. Wait. So what was the answer the question, the name of the moderator? Chris. No, you did watch
That's
it,
his
right?
name. Chris is the Walrus. That's his name. It's Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace, thank you. Yeah, I heard Walrus.
I was making a joke. I was saying...
Oh, that's all right. I was freaking out because I DJ'd in nightclubs for 20 years and I thought my tinnitus kicked in. It's like, was it Walrus or Warren? Anyway.
Everyone's having a go at him.
Yeah,
basically. I think Donnie came back from The Big Lebowski, named the Walrus.
Well, what I find interesting is it was entertaining, and I was laughing, and just simple way of starting the whole thing is I believe Trump could have done better, but he won against both of them because there wasn't a moderator and two debaters. Oh, so easy to make a joke out of that. But Trump seemed to be debating the moderator. So the political term is shit show. I think that's what everyone. We also have been joined by HiJacker. How are you, HiJacker?
Pretty good, Monty. How am I coming through?
Nice and clear.
Okay.
So, HiJacker, well, you've got the talking stick. Who do you think you watched the debate, and who did you think won the debate?
Well, I broke it down pretty good. The mechanics of it, presentation, the whole thing. What basically was really going on, and this appears to be what happened. It's like Biden is like a 16-year-old boy, and they're getting ready to go into a fist fight, and so instead of, and he's got this really cool pocket knife, little 3.5-inch pocket knife, and he thinks, when I go in this fight, I'm going to pull this pocket knife out. But what happened? Biden pulled the pocket knife out, started to stick Trump, and Trump's a New Yorker, and he broke out a 10-inch double blade, switchblade, and proceeded to create a whole complete bloodbath. Talk about it. He ate Joe Biden alive. Just cut him to pieces. Absolutely. Presentation, anger. He got law and order. He got the military. He commanding the facts. He had the passion. He reflected the attitude of the American people. We're all frustrated, been locked up COVID-19. He fought. He was angry. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And then Chris Wallace.
He made sure to point out every criminal accusation that had legs to stand on.
Oh, he split them every way. He went even for the kids, even Hunter Biden, which Joe says, don't talk about my son. Of course, Joe was talking about Bo, real emotional. He did a tour in Iraq. He did this. He got decorated. And then Trump said, who? Hunter? And Joe said, no, Bo. And Trump said, well, I don't know Bo, but Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military on a dishonorable discharge because he was hooked to cocaine. He's a drug addict. I mean, just talk about cutting. He just kept cutting and cutting and cutting. Absolutely unbelievable. Even got the chance to question. And now Chris Wallace, he was supposed to be the moderator, but now we can see Chris Wallace was in there to run interference. It turns out Biden did get the questions because when you saw a straight up question from once the smoke was cleared, and then Chris Wallace kind of reset stuff and he goes, okay, now it's your question, because Chris Wallace was losing control. Now I'll tell you the reason why. And so he gave the question to Biden, and Biden had a nice, slick, pat answer. But then as soon as Biden started doing these open lies, boom, Trump would cut him some more. But the reason why we know Wallace, because every time Trump really started to cut in to Biden, Chris Wallace would run interference. And then also you take a look at the subject matter, the different segments of what he had. It was all slated against basically Trump. So it then got so bloody that Chris Wallace got into the middle of it, and then Trump just started cutting on him. I mean, go up against a New Yorker in a knife fight, unbelievable. Joe Biden brought in a little pocket knife, and Trump broke out a 10-inch switchblade. Beautiful thing to watch. Unbelievable. Go ahead.
Steve, what did you see as the outcome and who won?
Well, yeah, that was. You look at any number of the people that argue and debate on roundtables like this one, and Oh
yeah, I was having flashbacks.
Trump would have been the kind of guy to jump in there and defend his position with that kind of visceral, right? So that ability to identify with the consensus attitude of the Republican Party in a way that lets America know where the party agrees with a certain amount of Americans. It's a question of do you think America has changed, or do you think the president needs to be on his best behavior? And I think the country has changed. I think Trump is gambling on that, and he went for the jugular first, so that way he can figure out which direction the next two debates go, because the people whose votes are very superficial are going to forget about that debate. They're
no. Listen, there's not going to be. There's no more debates. Did you hear that, Steve? They're now talking about, because this is the tack that the liberal media, the mainstream media, has taken, is that Trump was so rude, such a rude, bad man, just a nasty, rude, bad man. That's all they could say afterwards. That now it's leaking out of the Biden campaign that they're thinking about, well, we're not, if this is the case, they thought they could control Trump in this debate. And once Trump knew that Chris Wallace was against him, the way he was slanting things, and that Biden was just going full out propaganda and lies, he just took the gloves off and just started cutting.
Yeah,
and now they
I
know.
think it's very simple, because you remember there's always these negotiations, and we know how some of the specifics of the negotiations basically turn out about prep, right? So it's like Trump conceded to all the things that protects Joe Biden on a like whatever's going on that's wrong with him level. It's like, okay, Joe, we won't check to see if you've got your CIA handler earpiece in. Okay, Joe, we'll give you this kind of a break, so on and so forth. Like all these little bits and pieces, the drug test. And because of how serious those concessions are, Trump was able to get the concessions that mattered because of how much they need to protect the image of Biden, because right now they're in full FDR mode. You know, the way that the Democrat Party had to hide the infantile paralysis of FDR that put him in a wheelchair, the way they had to work to hide that in the 1930s is what they're doing now for Joe Biden and this.
Oh, yes. John, how are you, sir? And did you watch the debate? And I think you did, but how do you see the outcome for it?
Man, which John are you asking? John Z or myself?
Oh, I'll be calling Mr. Z, but you.
Okay, cool, dude. Thank you for calling. No, I've been way too busy. I've not seen the debate in one frame at all. So when I did check in, started about 2 hours ago, looked at the tube and just saw what channels were putting up what and their taglines. Mm-hmm. Then went to the news sites to see their latest breaking news without opening links to find out where the vibe of, well, this is my way of doing it anyway.
Yeah.
From there into the alternative sites to see their headlines, I thought, okay, well, it seems that the mainstream are pushing that it was a victory to Biden, but it's like 48-46, and then there's all this stuff about Trump getting into the gutter, and I'm thinking, well, I can see where that's coming from. I'm listening to you guys now, and once I won't listen to the debate for probably another 1 or 2 days. Once I've seen what's going on, then I'll listen and I'll see what I pick up or who I think was right or wrong from what I see after the event.
Yeah, you'll see the spin, which is cool.
I'm much more interested in history and how things happened.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. I wouldn't recommend that to everybody, but that's awesome that you're doing it because you can actually bring a different perspective because you've seen the fallout and then you watch the actual event and go, well, hang on, because there was a lot of people had their narratives and like even Wallace was putting forward the tax returns and Joe mentioned the injecting yourself with bleach and all the talking points that the media put out there. And one thing I did notice with Biden is he would flip-flop in a paragraph where the new Green Deal will pay for itself. Are you backing the new Green Deal? Oh no. Like, he did that about 5 or 6 times. He would say something and then sort of backtrack about a sentence later. Cortek, did you catch the debates? And if so, what did you think of the outcome?
I watched it from about lunchtime. It was all very messy. I don't know how anyone could really see how anyone won or lost, that kind of thing. I think Wallace totally let it get out of control. I don't think anyone kind of listens to someone who's got a whiny voice like that. I don't know where he's from or what experience he has in doing moderation, but he didn't seem like it was his first time doing it.
Yes, it was very sort of, hey, what's going on? Now, speaking of which, something interesting that I saw on Twitter moments ago is someone picked up there was a wire underneath Biden's jacket. He adjusted his jacket, coat, whatever you want to call it, and a little wire sort of stuck out, a very black, thin wire. I don't know what you can't really say what it is. It could be medical. It could have been a talkie, an earpiece. However, someone picked that up and like, ooh, I wonder what that is.
He did seem coherent, and
it could have been a number of things. It could have just been a microphone, or it could have been an earpiece.
Yes,
could have been a lot of things.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm just giving the fact of that. I saw a wire, no idea what it is because I don't have evidence to go that. Interesting enough, if you do, John, when you do watch it, not Mr. Z, John, when you do watch it, look how Biden only looks. It's like over an hour and a half, and Biden only looks at Trump about 3 times, and that's near the end. He never looks at Trump when Trump's talking. He always faces forward.
Really?
Yeah, and it's also scary as well.
Eye contact. First thing. Monty, if you know of a link that's true link, because what happens, all the stations will now play their game and they'll edit all this debate.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen it too many times. In this mask is a wonderful thing because you can't see the pixelation changes in the face.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen things that are just totally outrageous.
The best place is C-SPAN because they're not supposed to pick a side, and so I can send you
the clean recording of the live link. I'll have a look. C-SPAN, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Just go to put in C-SPAN presidential debates 2020, and it should come up. I think it's about 7 hours, but it's the last 2 hours. You can sort of skip ahead, and that's where I watched it, with about 300,000 people. And I was watching the Razor Fist commentary one up until the show started because he was basically laughing. It's just, it was a metaphorical bloodbath boxing match, and it was just ridiculous. And Mechanic. I think you talked about the debate on the last show, but I missed it. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, gentlemen, thanks for having me. Look, we got 2 clowns on the stage. It's a circus. We all know it's a dog and pony show. It's one bird, 2 different colored wings, 1 corridor, 2 different doors of entry. We're all being played. We haven't had a real representation of the people. All of that got shit canned in 1913. This is garbage television for the masses. Trump obviously doing what he can with what's on his plate. There was a point before all this started in 2016 where I thought Trump was just, whatever, appointed, and it's all about a bit of a joke, and here we are. But I got more and more into the understanding that Trump is one hated son of a bitch, and they'll do anything they can to stop this guy, to tarnish this guy. And I've never seen it before. I'm 2 years from 50. I've participated in a few elections in my time. I've never seen such a pursuit of ill will from an opposing party against a sitting president ever. I haven't even read about it. In the past, I've never read anything like this.
Yeah, sure.
If I mean to anything like this,
let me finish my thought real quick.
Okay, and then I'll jump in after you.
Yeah, so Biden, I think, is it's almost punishment what Biden is going through right now. He shouldn't even be out there. He's like a 25-year post-retired boxer, right? 65 years old in the ring. No, this guy can't communicate. Trump, that dude's still in his prime mentally. Mentally, Trump, Donald J. Trump, say what you will. he's still mentally in his prime. So
I made
well, if I was just going to, I forgot what I said. So Steve, go ahead.
I made a video before the debate where I was talking about that 2020 was a year that was sacrificed, a whole annual situation that was sacrificed. It's been an annual long ritual sacrifice. And I think what Joe Biden is that he is a sacrificial lamb. The Democrats, who probably aren't connected to any of this criminal stuff that they are pretending doesn't exist, but no does exist because they're in denial, and they also don't want to be honest about who they are, but they're not personally criminal, but they want the Democrat Party to survive, but they don't know what to do about the socialists, because, like these people are also comprised of a lot of the classical liberals that have been under a certain kind of spell about what the Democrat Party's intentions were for their vision, which was not supposed to be antithetical to, the conservative culture in the country, which is very much part of a classical liberal ethos, is that, conservative culture is a party to that. And I think that because they don't know what to do about the Democrat socialist radicals in their party, they are sacrificing this president, this presidential candidate, and this election to Trump, because they'll never admit that he's right, but they do agree with what he is doing.
Well, I disagree.
Yeah.
Well, no, I disagree. I think what we're seeing, Mechanic's right. He's never seen anything like it. What we're seeing is a full-blown communist, Maoist, Marxist revolution that's been filtered, infiltrated through the highest levels, all the way up to even the moderator, Chris Wallace, the whole thing. And so when you actually take a look at, first off, the amount of information that was exchanged within an hour and a half, because it became so bloody and everybody was talking over one another, they went through a plethora, a lot of information. But when you step back and let's make a character of the American people. We've been under COVID-19 lockdown for now 9 months. We're all angry. We're frustrated. We don't know what's going on. We've got all this kind of pent up emotion, and then along comes Donald J. Trump in this debate, and he's got the passion. He's frustrated. We can feel that. He's like a lens in which he becomes like a laser beam. He's angry when he talks. He's mean. That's what we want. He backs up America. It's about Americanism, and we're in our fight. Biden tried to meal him out, that type of stuff. We got to get back into the Paris Accords. And Trump says, no, it's about the economy. He trapped Biden into saying, basically, we're going to have another lockdown. Trump said, no more lockdowns. Enough of this mask, enough of this lockdown stuff. Kids not going to school. And so the American people are going to resonate with them. With that being said, the other really big thing, and this is where I made my mistake, and I was wrong. I thought they would shoot Biden up with too much meth to keep him on his feet and keep him thinking.
He did seem coherent for once.
What this did show, it did show that Biden is not some senile old man. And so now what we're looking at tonight, close the books on any type of Hillary, any type of change up. It's going to be Biden and Trump. Nothing's going to happen. I thought he would melt down and the DNC would have to come up with throw Hillary in there as the candidate. But he shut that off tonight. He did enough. He showed enough cognitive ability to basically say he's going to go the distance for the next 34 days. So that was a good thing.
Did you comment that he was the party?
One at a time. I think I heard Mr. Z speak first.
Yeah, I don't get how one time being lucid somehow negates all the rest of the times.
It doesn't.
And also, even if he did come across like, well, who's this Joe Biden? Because I haven't seen him for the last 9 months.
Yeah, really.
But he was flip-flopping in paragraphs where apparently Antifa is an idea, and apparently this idea keeps burning down factories and shops and everything else like that. Like, that's a pretty good thing. There's so many where he just would say...
He did say he was the party.
Oh yeah,
that's the party.
Yeah, that Star Wars moment. I briefly spoke to Steve before the show.
And the Senate.
I am the Senate. I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. I am the Democratic Party.
It wouldn't shock me if he said, "I am the Senate" in the 2000s. It would not shock me if that's been a private conversation that he's had.
Yeah, probably, and he's a weak Palpatine because Palpatine knew what he's doing.
He's got an LBJ aura. He's got that Lyndon Johnson aura, and Lyndon Johnson was a tyrant, if you understand how his politics work.
Now, interesting enough, him saying, I am the Democratic Party, later on, Chris Wallace brought up the question of, if you're the Democratic Party, shouldn't you talk to these mayors and governors of the Democratic states? And like they brought up Portland, where, bring in the National Guard, let's calm down. And Biden's response was, I'm not in office. Why? It doesn't matter if you're in office. It's just like
that's the wrong answer.
if you're clearly if you're the party and they're in the same party, you don't have to be in office, even because you still want the National Guard in there to bring peace.
Yeah, think about how much information Trump got out.
The idea is that you're the most as a candidate who's not in office currently. The idea is that he's the most influential Democratic voice in the country right now as a private citizen, and can use his First Amendment right and his pull as a popular person who people think have good ideas, and say, listen, implement these ideas. It'll both help people and boost my numbers in the polls, so that way we can help people even better. That is how you are supposed to actually run your campaign.
No one's taking that angle, though, are they? Help the people angle?
It just exposes very quickly, and then I'll hand off to HiJacker. It exposes the hatred they have for Trump, because it's not about the American people. They just hate him because he exists. And so if Trump says, let's go solar, and he finds a cure for cancer, they'll just, anything he says, they resist, because they think that they're winning against Trump by having half of Portland on fire. And now I know, HiJacker, you're in Washington State. What's it like? Because you're right next to Oregon. What's it like? What do you see? Like, if you go out, I can understand why you probably won't, because it's all peoply. But what's the feeling around where you are?
Well, right now, we're what they call the gray. So we're in the rain now, where the rain starts for 6 months, and it just gets gray. It gets dark at like 3:00. So, but anyways, what Trump did do successfully, going through what was happening in Portland and Seattle, Baltimore, the different places, he was able to tie the Democratic Party with the Black Lives Matter, with Antifa, with the violence, with the blue state mayors, the blue state governors. And so he was able to tie that, and he really came out a really strong law and order type president, security, which that's what everybody wants to know. And even when he was, telling Biden, you should call these people, did you do anything? And Biden basically backed out and goes, well, no, I'm not in elective office or whatever, mealy mouth. Well, Trump says, well, I would have sent the National Guard in if they asked me. I would have shut this thing off. And then he challenged Biden. He says, look, all the law enforcement have endorsed me in the last couple of days. Tell me one law enforcement group in the country that has endorsed you. And Biden sat there like a spotted deer in the headlights, because he had none. And then
he hasn't got a single endorsement from a law enforcement agency.
I was going to say, we're still waiting for him to answer that question. Yes.
I don't think there was an off-duty cop or a slow night on-duty cop that didn't watch that debate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking this is going to break records. But Trump got the military tonight. He got the law enforcement. He got the patriots. He got the Americans. And believe it or not, because the way they set it up, he got the whites and the Caucasians, because Chris Wallace had to do this Proud Boys, and he had to go down this road about white supremacist or whatever. And so, I mean, this could not have broken better for President Trump. Absolutely.
Remember, Biden came out the box. His first campaign ad associated with his announcement of running was Charlottesville. His entire campaign is predicated on, if you sided with Antifa, I'm your guy. Vote for me. If you're Antifa, if you're Black Lives Matter, vote for me. I agree with you that we have to put a terrible stop to people that like to dress up like historical villains.
And did you hear the other thing that Biden said when he said, well, I support the police, and then he went into how he supported them on where Trump talked about, you want to defund the police, you want to destabilize things. And Biden says, no, I support the police. But what we might need some psychologists or some psychiatrists that need to show up when the police are there to basically negotiate and talk things down so we don't have some of the bad apples end up shooting people. And I'm just thinking to myself, every single cop is thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to go out on a call, I'm going to get in a fight with a drunk, or I'm going to go into domestic violence or something, and then I got to wait for a psychologist or a psychiatrist to show up. That's Biden's plan.
It would have. I mean, it would have helped in Poland, like when the Nazis invaded. If a couple of social workers there to go, gentlemen, please calm down. We wouldn't have had World War II.
Right.
The psychologist has to have had a master course study in Carl Jung, and I'll allow it.
And wearing full riot gear as well, because when you're being shot at, it's like, hey, do you want to chat? Bang, bang, bang. Like, I think it's past chatting.
Here's the thing, because Carl Jung is all about fighting your shadow. Your shadow is just
You don't want a Freudian. Tell me about your mother. My mom, no.
Well, that's my point. The only way to defeat Freud is through Jung. Jung very much looked at Freud and said, "Whoa! You're doing some serious damage over there, buddy. Let's put some heart and soul back into thinking."
A little bit too far with your mother,
right? Yeah, on the thing with Trump. On the thing with Trump, Trump even finished the whole debate off with one more slice. In fact, this slice of his New York switchblade is going to really make the Zionist stop and think. I'm talking about the Marxist, leftist Zionists, basically Jews that are running this whole revolution operation. They've got to sit back and they got to say, wait a minute, we just watch an historic, which, by the way, there is never, Mechanic, you can back me up on this if you've been watching politics, there has never, ever been a presidential debate like this one. This takes the cake. But anyways, Trump finished up with this, and I could not believe it. I mean, I could not believe that he actually said that on air.
What was it?
This is how he finished it up. He says, they're arguing back and forth, talking over, and then Trump raises his voice loudly, and he says, you called the military stupid bastards, or what was it? Yeah, stupid bastards. Yep. And I said, what? You saw the moderator, Chris Wallace. There was actual shock. And then he tried to get control of it. And then Trump doubled down, triple down. And he goes, you called them on tape, stupid bastards.
Yeah.
On tape, you call them stupid bastards. This is my point. My point is, at the end of the debate, Trump got the military. He's got the law enforcement. He's got the patriots. He's got the whites. These Marxists that think they're going to take this country over. And then they finish up with arguing over all the ballot and all the stuff that's going to be illegitimate. They got a problem, this Donald Trump. He firmly got control of these elements, and now they're thinking, whoa, wait a minute now.
In the pure political of this, there were two moments, I believe I can cite the second one, that was absolute shame on Biden as a leader of the Democrat Party. Because remember, there was that moment where I think it's when Biden said he rejects like the Green New Deal or something, and he said, "You just lost the left." He said that out loud. He waved his arms big and wide. You just lost the left.
He can't say this because he would totally lose the left. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he did. He's a neoliberal. He's a neoliberal who is who for whatever reason doesn't like classical liberals, but also is terrified of the democratic socialists who are kind of a nightmare and not exactly what the Fabian socialists that the neoliberals are, as well as the neoconservatives, have as their agenda. These democratic socialists are a little bit different, especially because they're outside of the conspiracy. And some of them half listen to us. They may think that we're some sort of anti-Semitic, weird alien Nazi people on weird woo-woo juice, but they get a few things about the corporations that we talk about.
Right, and that's what Trump proved. Trump proved when he pushed Biden on the Green New Deal and all the leftist stuff or whatever and the socialist stuff, Biden, he backed away. And when Trump said you lost the left, basically what Trump was saying is that millions and millions of all these hardcore Bernieites and socialists that thought you were going to be the guy and you took their positions and now you're backing off. They realized Joe Biden's nothing more than another corporate empty suit, old man running the Democratic Party, completely demotivated them. There's so much more he could have said as a real true socialist, but he didn't. And so, Trump got it. Trump cut him. Trump ate Biden alive, literally.
Yeah, well, part of Biden's strategy, I don't know if it was planned, but the way it came across is I can't remember the actual scenario or the way that you do it, but Biden was blaming Trump for everything that he's done on a basic level, where you're Putin's puppy, and then your son was given $3.5 billion by the mayor of Russia's wife. It was very tit for tat, and Biden would say something, and Trump would trump it. I love how the prime creator creates these things. He trumped everything that Biden was saying as well, which is it was fascinating to watch. And the reason that he brought up the whole stupid bastards thing, because about 5 minutes earlier, you could see that Biden was coached into bring up this point, and he went into his little routine and he got emotional because he brought up his son Beau, who I think he passed away, didn't he? And he was a military man. He did a tour of Iraq, and you call these people losers. And as we know, everyone listening and on the call, that was from unofficial, anonymous sources. And yet, everyone's seen the video of Biden in front of a very brave man to call all those military men stupid bastards, because they don't need a gun to kill people. They can use their thumb.
He's not wrong. I mean, the lowest common denominator in the military is stupidity. I'm not sure what that breaks out to.
But I'd rather you can. A drill sergeant can say that, but not a presidential nominee trying to win votes.
Well, if he served in the military.
Yes, but still, I mean, it's my mind's racing trying to remember all these different.
Regardless if you're talking about from personal experience, I mean,
there's
a whole bunch of people who won't forget.
And then Trump countered him when Biden brought up that your general said it was a photo op when you walked across and you did the photo op of the church, and these people against you. Trump came right back, and 250 or 247 former generals and colonels and all the rest back endorsed my presidency. No, Trump locked up the military, the law enforcement. I mean, I'm telling you, the hardcore left, especially the Zionists that are running the whole operation, they've got to stop now and say, you know what? If we keep pressing this thing is going to spill over into an open civil war, and we think we can steal it with these mail-in ballots, but this is not going to work. These people know our game. They know this is a complete Marxist, Zionist, Bolshevik takeover. We can see it now.
Did you guys see the 19,000 fraudulent IDs seized in Chicago?
Oh, in Biden says no. That didn't happen. 19,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's
close to 20,000 driver's license.
Yeah, there's reports across the country where all these, people are getting sent 2 ballots to fill out. Someone It got a ballot for a person that died 8 years ago. There doesn't seem to be much sort of coherency in the whole system in that respect. One thing I found interesting was that the debate's supposed to be between gentlemen, statesmen, and they're supposed to win over the hearts and minds of the American people. But Biden turned into a teenager when he said, shut up, man. Like, he just went, really, like...
There was one of those drinking game things that memes put up, like, if one of them says this, like, take a sip, take a shot, and there was, he said that, like, a couple of times. There was another one, here's the deal. He said that, like, about 4 times. It's like...
here's the deal. Like, okay.
So at the root, Trump is projecting strong and healthy. And strong and healthy makes us believe in somebody's knowledge, ability, and authority.
Yeah, and then also stability, Steve, because he wants to open the schools back up. Biden wants to shut things down. His confidence. He was commanding. He had command of the data, information. Whoever prepped Trump, and I'm not even sure Trump was prepped. The more I'm thinking back on the whole thing, Trump just dropped back into New York knife fights mode, and he just fired from the hip what was on his heart, which showed the passion. And so this is going to go down as masterful. And I'm really wondering whether the Biden campaign are going to debate him again. I don't think there's going to be 2 more debates.
Yeah,
Look,
they probably don't want to because
New York is in play. New York is in play because the Catholic vote in New York is a really big deal, like, in various parts of upstate, and is a big part of the culture and how it operates. And, with what the left has already done with Amy Coney Barrett, the hypocrisy of that from Joe Biden being a Catholic, it's causing all sorts of problems that's reverberating around, the people that in 2016, voted against Trump because, as far as they were concerned, he was just simply an embarrassment. It doesn't matter how good his ideas are, because they didn't think things could get really bad.
You're right, Steve. New York, Steve is right. New York might be in play, not only because it's his home state. Now he's in Florida now, but that, he's a New Yorker. But also now you got Barr and you got the attorney generals and the people looking at the vote, the mail-in vote. You got the anger from Cuomo and Mario, whoever, Blasio. They're so angry because they basically butchered, they gutted New York City. You got all the Western New York and upstate New York all under Trump. So you're right. Trump may have won. He may have won this thing in a landslide, electoral landslide tonight, just with New York. You might be right, Steve.
I don't think that there's one New Yorker, liberal or conservative, that doesn't think that Andrew Cuomo's nursing home policy was the most awful effing thing anyone's ever heard of, and they know that it actually happened.
Was this a COVID-related nursing home policy?
Yeah. They put infected people back into. That's why they've got high numbers, because they put people with COVID back in. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Basically what happened.
We had a bunch of nursing home stuff up here in Oz as well.
Yeah, but not at this level. Mr. Z, please explain, because you're our reporter on the ground.
State-sponsored genocide.
What?
Just talk about what happened in
okay.
October.
State-sponsored genocide. That's what Cuomo did. State-sponsored genocide with the old folks' home. Murder.
That's state-sponsored euthanasia. That was state-sponsored.
So what happened?
Yeah.
Basically, what happened is that the police were told, do not respond to calls in the nursing homes. They're basically put outside to guard it. I didn't know that they put them back in, but I was told that if they would come in there, do the test, and they just leave them there if they were positive. And it got to a point that they didn't even bother testing because anybody in a nursing home wasn't allowed to leave at all.
one of the other flip-flops that I just remembered is Biden. He was basically attacking Trump for, trash the economy. It's all on his watch, and a lockdown and businesses all collapsing. And then a sentence or two later, I want to bring back lockdowns and have everyone in masks. And it's like, wait, so you're upset that he did it, and you're going to do the same thing, so that's okay? Why?
Yeah, masterful. I mean, Trump won this in so many ways. Even California, maybe California's in play, maybe it's in play. Everybody's so angry out there. And Biden had to start talking about the fires, and Trump went in. Look, they're not managing that state, although he did pull his punch from Gavin Newsom, but still all that anger's there. No. What we might be looking at is something like this could be like historic. This could be like a Ronald Reagan landslide with Michael Dukakis. I mean, this thing really looks like it might blow up. Go ahead.
Everyone is aware that this is voted by Electoral College, right? Not popular vote.
Yeah. That's
the Electoral College is compelled to vote by certain criteria.
But they don't have to.
I thought that whole
ultimate decision is.
I thought that whole procedure was investigated.
No, the Supreme Court just ruled. No, if an elector from a state, if the state wins, in other words, if the Democrats take like Iowa, and you're an elector from Iowa, the Supreme Court has now ruled because they did this Hamilton thing or whatever. In 2016 or 18, I can't remember. But the Supreme Court has now ruled, look, if the state of Iowa goes for the Democrat, even if you're a Republican elector, you have got to vote the way your state votes, period. That's come down in the last 3 weeks.
Since when do laws apply?
Well, it depends who you are.
Exactly. That's my point.
Just going back to what Mechanic said back at the start of the show, where he has never seen this level of, dare I say, stupidity. The thing is because they've attacked Trump because he's the president, they've disrespected the office of president. And so that's going to be a precedent from now on where the office has lost respect. Doesn't matter who's in it, but the office it's now has been tainted. Of course, they'll blame Trump because he was there, but it's everyone just attacking Trump and ignoring that he's the president of the United States, which is a change socially in the United States. So,
well, my wife, I hit my wife with, what did you think? They're saying he's been rude, very rude, nasty man, and bash, and obstinate, and angry. And I says, honey, what did you think about it? Of course, she's a I forgot. She's not even a beta female. She's like way down on the list, like really submissive type female, a G or H type female, whatever that is. Anyways, she says, well, he's the type of president that the country needs. We need somebody kind of mean like that. And coming from her, I went, wow, this is the woman that prays the rosary like 3 times a day. And you watched the whole thing, and you said that this is what we need to protect us. This is the kind of president that we need, like a New York guy that can use a knife. Really?
Well, if you look at what's happening, especially on the West Coast, where, I saw a meme, they want to build a wall around Washington, Oregon, and California and keep everyone on the West Coast in, mainly because of Antifa and Black Lives Matter and just the spin that the controlled media where, there's right-wingers causing violence. Yeah, because after 3 months of watching their city burn down, they've decided to defend that. That came up in the thing as well, where they want the right wingers to stand down because they're causing all this violence, and skipped over the whole fact. The reason that they're actually there is because they're had enough of violence, death, arson, which has been going on for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
We're coming up to the break. So I just like, I don't have those lulls that much in my round table that I'm like, yes, I said a paragraph. Everyone's like, we're just coming up to the break, just letting you know.
But Monty, isn't it great to have a well-behaved group?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I know something's wrong.
I was watching the debate going, this is just like my round table. What's going on?
Can I ask how people in the States feel about this 19,000 fraudulent IDs being found and the fact that Bloomberg's, spent $22 million to pay off convicted felons' fines so they can vote? I mean, these are just the stories we know about people with a lot of money trying to influence the elections. Anyone else?
Is this Cortex?
Yeah, hey, Jay.
Yeah, Cortex. Not only that, once they opened up the whole ballot issue of whether you were going to accept the certified ballot, Trump went into what you're talking about. He hit Philadelphia, the false ballots in Philadelphia, ballots in ditches, ballots in trash can, military ballots thrown away. He talked about mailman ballots in West Virginia. He talked about fraudulent ballots in North Carolina. And so he's a big bull. He's not moving. And the leftist Marxists, basically the Zionists on the other side, the Bernie Sanders, the Schiffs, the Nadlers, the whole people that have been set up this coup. In fact, Trump got the whole coup thing of what went down with the coup and being spied. So much material in an hour and a half.
He slipped that in as well, I heard, yeah.
Yeah, he got everything in there. I mean, he got everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and do you like how Joe Biden's response was? No, it's not. that was basically it. It's like, no, lying. And like, family member was given billions of dollars. And I saw Dave Rubin. If you watch his stuff, he's pretty. If you resonate with him, he's really cool because it's interesting. He's left the left because of the left going insane, so he's more centrist, and he's happily married man to another man. And so it's interesting when people attack him, the social justice warriors, like, he's a married gay man, shut up. But he just pointed out, we need someone to fact check what Biden said, because most of the stuff that Trump brought up, I think Trump probably saw it in the news itself and then got his people to check it out 100%, compared to the New York Times, where anonymous sources said Trump called military people losers. There's no evidence of that. They made that crap up. And the thing about, like, he only paid $750 taxes. Now, being Revolution Radio, income tax is voluntary, but you can't really bring that idea to the populace because they go, wait a minute. Anyway,
also doesn't it mean kind of being broke or in debt? Isn't that more trustworthy than someone who's a millionaire making money from being paid in that position?
Well, that's the thing with, like, people hate Trump as a person, which I can slightly understand. But your only choices are these two old men yelling at each other. So everyone's like, oh. The thing is that because the hatred blinds them, they don't see anything. It's like, anything positive about Trump's a lie, and everything negative is real.
Yeah, Monty, I just want to throw in here real quick, really important. When they got to the tax question about the $750, and Trump said, no, I paid $22 million and the $28 million. But in the end, Trump said, yeah, I used the IRS codes. Yeah, I went ahead and manipulated the IRS to grab a bag of money. I played by the rules. And I mean, every American went, yeah, he ripped the IRS off. He admitted it on air. I mean, you got to love this guy. I mean, the guy says, yeah, I took advantage of it.
Now we're coming up to the break, and fascinating hour.
Give all your stuff out where people can actually donate to you, real quick.
Oh, just Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube, and just click on the PayPal button, and that will take you to that if you feel like sharing some shekels. And according to the exchange rate, oh man, a cup of coffee in Seattle, I could buy a house here. Especially in Melbourne, because everyone wants to leave. So you are listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This is Planet Collingwood. We're only halfway, so we're all going to go into the change rooms, suck on some oranges, and then come out and swap sides. There's the music. All right, I've played that well. We'll be back after these messages. Stick around. Welcome back to Planet Collingwood, Open Roundtable. My name is Monty Dean. I have been joined by a large list, so I'm going to go to my piece of paper. Steve, Zerilath, Cortek, John Z, Mechanic, John, and the HiJacker. If you'd like to join us and try and wedge up to the card table, it is send me a message on Monty_Dean on Skype, and I'll add you to the show. And if you're already a contact, just send me a message and I'll add you. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to revolution.radio or freedomslips.com and donate what you can so we can continue on broadcasting and sharing wonderful ideas and talking about current events because 2020 has been weird. So, John, in the chat call that we're talking about, those tax returns are his latest, which include him not taking presidential salary. I think he has to receive $1, so he's actually getting paid to do the job, but it's only $1. The rest of it he donates to everything else. And so,
may I say something, Monty?
So
when you finished.
Okay.
But now we'll do. Yeah, but imagine, like, this man has run the States like a business.
Mm-hmm.
And it has boomed, and everybody's been happy, and it's prospering until, well, the virus card came out. But imagine he's a businessman. So everybody he's met, everybody he's touched over his career in presidency, he now has a relationship with, which he will call on later. Trump being Trump, he's not scared of stepping forward. As we've seen, we'll take on the media, the Democrats, everybody. You know, he's not even a Republican. Trump is Trump.
He took on Big Pharma tonight.
Exactly, man. Everything, Jacker. You know, this guy's that big.
The thing that we've probably been missing for a very long time, absent of the very obvious things of presidents selling us out and all that other stuff, is a businessman. Because the more you think about it, we've put ourselves in a position, not just financially, but I would say we're almost like pot committed at this point, to the point where we're so far in debt, it doesn't really matter what mitigation we start doing and employing. You need to actually start producing. And so this is a perfect guy to help, I would say, hopefully help during this time, because you never really know.
You mean like manufacturing producing, or what?
Oh, everything.
Yeah,
economy, manufacturing, because manufacturing sorely needs to come back to this country.
Every country.
Yeah, no, he got into manufacturing. He got into business and tax credits for corporations, where Biden said, you got all these people, and I won't tax anybody, or I'm going to increase the taxes over $400,000. And then Trump came back and said, look, that's the way I was able to bring back manufacturing. I was able to bring back these corporations. They'll go someplace else. I was able to cut the regulation and balance, the environment with the economy. I mean, he was masterful. He had, it's like what he said in the first 2 minutes when Biden broke out his little knife and then Trump broke out his New York switchblade. You can hear it. You can hear it. Not, the camera's on Biden, but you can hear what President Trump has said in the first 2 minutes of the debate. He goes, I'm here and I will dominate you, Joe Biden. I mean, when I heard that, I thought, wow, he's prophesizing over his own debate at the beginning of the debate. And that's when I knew, oh my God, Biden broke out a knife with a New York guy who knows how to knife fight. This is going to be bloody. And it got bloody all the way through. Everything was red at the end. Even Chris Wallace, who kept jumping in the middle, he got sliced up. In fact, they're saying now, the left is saying now, that Chris Wallace should be disqualified from ever being a moderator again because he had such a disastrous debate.
Terrible.
That's how bad he got cut up.
Yeah. They're going to have to say that about everybody that they're going to put in front of this guy because, they have a very specific agenda that's – I don't know what their effing assumptions are. The Democrats must understand for those that are just in enough of the conspiracy to know that, like, you know, this guy is an unstoppable, fully cognitive, self-aware person, right? You know, you can tell, you know, it's the wink and the nod to the conscious community in ways that matter, you know, that gets to that point. And you have to appreciate how he uses their psychology against them. You know, he had the, you know, it's just like, I am suspicious of the vaccines because Donald Trump is running things, right? And then Trump just, like, he says, oh, he said Pfizer and one other. And he said, like, oh, really? You're suspicious of those guys? You know, it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. So there's that. Another thing about the budget, Trump made sure to underscore and not let anyone get away with the fact that it's $100 trillion for the Green New Deal. That is going to be an astronomical tax to even begin to pay it off because of how much consumption is implied in actually implementing what you want to see happen.
Yeah,
Which
you're right.
isn't even going to happen because they're going to steal most of that money and give you a crappy amusement park.
Right. No, you're right, Steve. He mentioned $100 trillion for the Green New Deal, got Biden to back off from that, and then Biden turns around and then re-endorses his Green New Deal, the Biden plan, and basically says, well, we are going to provide – it is going to make us like $1 trillion because we're going to have real high-paying Green New Deal jobs past the minimum wage of $15 an hour. And so, I mean, he was just cutting them up. He was just gutting them, slashing them until right at the end to where out of Biden's own mouth on tape, he got Biden to call the military stupid bastards. I mean, this guy is like – I don't know what he is.
Well, it also, what happened, Biden actually, he was asked by Mr. Wallace, so you support the Green Deal? No, I don't. So after everything he put forward of like how awesome it is, and then, no, I don't support it. And it's another flip-flop that he's a master of flip-flopping in a paragraph.
And then the leftists are saying, wait a minute, what do we got as our standard bearer for the Democratic Party who says he is the party? And we got this 78-year-old old white man in a gray suit that thinks, you know, he's beholden to all these corporations. He didn't fight like Bernie. He could have come up with all kinds of stuff. Unbelievable.
It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate in identity politics. Everything that Joe Biden is everything that's under attack in America, right? You know, he's a straight white Catholic Christian, male, old man, wealthy, has been a big supporter of very, very unpopular ways to treat minorities, has been silent on issues of people that have taboo gender ways of life, so on and so forth.
He's bald.
All these effing things, and he then says, I am the Democrat Party. Yes, Joe.
I know. He's lost. Well, talk about deflating what they call, there's a vote, they call a certain vote, the enthusiastic vote. So the enthusiasm of the whole left, all that Bernie Sanders, where he built up and goes, yeah, I'm going to do the Green New Deal. Ocasio-Cortez, yeah, I'm with you. And he just blew it all apart tonight and denounced it. I mean, Trump just cut him to pieces. This is a landslide.
Well, like, yeah. If I may, HiJacker, you just said inflate, and I just got the image. Biden basically, John, when you watch the debate, you'll see this. Biden kept blowing up balloons, and before Trump could pop it, Biden would pop his own balloon. Like he'd build up something and then go, no, I'm not going to do that right afterwards. So like, pop, and like, how can anyone vote for him? Because he's all talk, and then he's actually honest about it. Where it's like, we're going to do all this. Yeah, we could do all this, but I'm not going to. Like, really? Have you noticed as well where Trump was asked to renounce white supremacy, and he did, but not in the right way, because certain people, he didn't say, I renounce white supremacy. So obviously he's for white supremacy because that's how angry people are. But why wasn't Biden asked the question to renounce Antifa and Black Lives Matter?
Oh, I think he was. I think he did get confronted with that. And then that's when Biden switched into what the FBI director said, that the biggest threat is white supremacy. Christopher Wray, you got to take a look at Donald Trump. He is a gunslinger. He's killed Strzok. He's killed Comey. He's killed Brennan in gunfights. Mueller, he shot down. And now Christopher Wray, they say that he's going to get fired as soon as Trump is reelected, because Christopher Wray had to do what the Zionists wanted them to do and talk about white supremacy as the biggest threat. And that's what Biden mentioned. And that Antifa was what do they call it? A doctrine. Help me out here, Steve Zerilath. Not a doctrine. Antifa was a.
He said it was an idea.
Yeah, a philosophy, ideological philosophy, right? And so that in itself, he's backing him up. Wouldn't even renounce the people burning the cities. And then Trump went into the blue states and the blue mayors and the blue governors where all the cities are burning. And then he went into, I'll be law enforcement. I'll send in the National Guard. I can put, I shut it down. And he mentioned, I shut it down in Minneapolis. When I went to Portland, I shut it down. He mentioned a couple others. He got the law and order. I'm telling you, this could not have gone better. This was like an anointing of God almost.
It did seem like Biden was defending that by saying it was an idea and therefore implicating him in the rest of his silence.
It is shoot, I lost my thought. I'll come back.
No, that's all right. That happened here on Planet Collingwood. Did you notice that Trump's three nominations for Nobel Peace Prize wasn't mentioned at all? So maybe Trump will mention that, like, if he's ever on the back foot in the next debate, he can bring. By the way, I've been nominated for 3, not 1, not 2, but 3.
Right. Well, the Nobel Council has, kind of disgraced itself with, the Obama
Man of the
thing,
Year.
and so
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, the bar is pretty much through the basement at this point.
But it always was. Nobel was only doing it because he made dynamite and wanted to make up some. It was always been trying to get up to sea level the whole way. It's got.
He saved a lot of miners' lives. It's just the consequence was of saving those miners' lives. He killed a magnitude more than ever would have died in the mines.
Yeah, it reminds me of the health system. Like, we've killed the cancer. What about the patient? You've killed the patient. There's always something with you, Ted, isn't there?
That's I'm never pleased.
Yeah. I'm let me have this win, you prick.
You see, Christopher Walken's coming out with a movie. He's in a new movie where he takes on Monsanto.
No, I have. No. Please explain.
Apparently, there's some true story about some farmer, and he is. Percy in this new movie taking up the GM seeds. He's a farmer and he's taking on the Monsanto brand, which is good, I guess, for something Hollywood to do. You don't expect them to do something responsible like that. So
if I could do a Christopher Walker impression, like what you have is GMO and Roundup. You see, I was farming. And the pollen came from there.
10 years I had this watch up my ass.
I got to work on my Christopher Walken impression. What else?
So
go ahead.
I have a largely unpopular thing to say here. And, some of you may get mad. Most of you may disagree. But this is just the way I see it. And let me be clear, I'm probably the dumbest out of everyone here. So it's not a competition. Anyway, I find it very interesting. There's all this concern about mail-in votings and Antifa and, voting fraud and license fraud and all this stuff that goes along with an election as it's done since elections have begun. And again, I kind of feel like we've come a long way in, at least since I've gotten here, since around 2012, 2013 till now. As you know, there's quite a few faces that have stuck around, so to speak, or voices in this case. And I just find it very interesting how everybody kind of flocks to like the new thing. You know, not to use a sports metaphor, but like when it's Super Bowl weekend, everybody turns on the Super Bowl, even if they freaking hate football, because it's something to do and everyone else is doing it. And I find it very, very interesting when it comes to anything like politics, like this debate. You know, maybe I'm making an assumption here for everyone, and that's my fault, but I kind of feel like everybody, when they hear a debate, especially presidential debate, the amount of bullcrap that has been exposed in the last 10 years, you know, is mind-boggling all by itself. And, you know, there's such thing as political theater, and we always talk about the left and the right and the divide, and they provide the problem and the answer and all this stuff, and it doesn't matter if there's a left or a right, they're still for the same thing. Who knows if that's true anymore, but granted, I'll get to my point here. When it comes specifically to this election, I can't imagine that anyone with half a brain cell, anything to do with politics, knows there's no way Biden is going to win this election. There's no way. And I guess it's something to watch, but at the same time, to me, it's just a complete waste of time, because anything that happens in a public forum when it comes to politics, it's already been decided. You know, there's nothing new that's going to come out organically except maybe a joke or someone getting pissed off, right? Anyway, I'll stop ranting.
Well, no, John Z. Let me respond. John Z. So what John C. is basically saying is that most of the stuff is scripted, and the controllers have basically, you know, they're figuring out they've got to figure out how to feed societies, control them, social media. You know, like in India, you can't actually see a woman's breast when they do pornography, that type of thing. So the controllers, they basically control societies, and they fragment them. And so what John Z is saying is that he's saying why anybody can't see that this whole thing is scripted out, and that Joe Biden was picked because he was the designated loser, sort of like in a WWE type of wrestling. But this is what I want to say. I want to say, because we know what the epitaph of President Trump is, and it's not about building a wall, it's not about taxes. Everybody knows that one thing, if President Trump dies tomorrow, the greatest thing that would be on his tombstone is, here lies Donald John Trump, a man who completely, in 3 years, single-handedly exposed the deep state to the whole world. And so what's happened tonight, John Z, is that this was the last stop for the hardcore leftists to take over this country. They used Biden. They used all the media. They used all the weapons they had available. But at the end of the day, Donald John Trump, he's overwhelmed them. And so, yeah, you're right. After tonight, we know that President Trump is going to defeat Joe Biden in a landslide. Am I saying it right?
Jacker, this is John from Australia. Are the left dirty enough to use a real hardcore weapon? A nuke or something, some dirty thing? Yeah,
that's the question.
I'm asking, man. I haven't heard anybody discuss it. I thought, well, Jacker's on. Is that anywhere there or not?
No. I know what you're saying. We're saying now, because of Donald Trump's performance tonight and how he's able to slice Joe Biden with his New York switchblade like 500 times, we now know how it's going to go in the next 34 days. that President Trump is going to win. And so what Big John out of Australia is saying is, okay, we know the hardcore left, they used the COVID-19. This was all thought out. The gates, the world military gaming. They used the mask. They used all the weapons they had to kill the economy. And so now they can't stop Trump. It's apparent. John Z's basically saying it's apparent Biden is going to lose. And so what Big John of Australia is saying is that do they got one big last weapon? Actually, they got two big last weapons. The first big last weapon they possibly can use, and this is now a concern, is they will take down the president's plane or they will assassinate him some way, somehow in the next 3 weeks. They're going to figure out how they got to get rid of this guy because now he's ignited a whole right-wing, conservative, Christians, patriots, veterans. I mean, he hit all the bases, military, law enforcement. So they got to either do that, do like a JFK move, or what John may be alluding to is another bioweapon, which is like puking your guts out. They hit us with something so severe in which nobody can vote. We all got to vote by mail. Is that what you're saying, Big John?
I don't think they could make a martyr out of him and assassinate him.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, they'll make a martyr out of him. Pence would step up, and the Patriots would vote in the honor for Trump. So I could see in that scenario, there would be
It would be war. I think what John from Australia was trying to ask here is not just an assassination, but if they were willing to put out some sort of dirty bomb, or dare I say, a real version of this virus. Because I could see that happening.
Well, I remember Dirty Bill Gates' little conversation with him and his wife, just saying, when the second one comes out, it's going to be a lot worse than the first. And it's like when they look at each other with these looks like they've got a secret language that no one else can find out. They're
smirking and chuckling to himself. And did you notice as well? I was watching the Razorfist commentary of the debates, and he said every time that Trump pointed out one of Biden's crimes in simple language, Biden would just laugh. And that would work on other people, but not for Trump. And he had no idea who Trump was. And so he was trying to do a playbook of like Tulsi Gabbard or someone else. I can't remember the names. But Trump wasn't having any of it. And so if you watch it back, Joe, you did A, B, and C. And he would just laugh and sort of shake it off and like, oh, that's funny. Even though it's a fact.
I don't know. He seemed to be coherent, but there was so many bits that were brought up that really, like that. Oh, you can't answer the left thing. That really kind of his silence implicating my thought. And these things aren't going to decide the election.
Well, the big thing tonight, the big thing that's happened tonight is right now, as we're on a round table, there's other round tables that are happening right now on the highest levels, and I'm talking about the Zionist left and the Zionist right. And they're talking to each other right now. And the Zionist right, probably headed by Steve Mnuchin of the United States Treasury, he's telling the other Zionists on the left, look, have you had enough? Are we going to go crazy and spill the whole society into civil war? It's done. Trump has won this thing. We got the rules. We're not going to let this get down to the Gentiles, in which all of these people now know that they all been had. They're all in debt. Everything else. We got Trump. He can hold the line. He can prevent. He can broker out a civil war or a revolution. Let's think about the Chinese. And so the Zionists on the right and the Zionists on the left, they're talking to each other right now. Bibi Netanyahu's on the phone. He's talking to the counterpart, probably Schiff or Schumer, and he goes, look, let's not do it. Have we had enough of this war? We took the field of battle. Give it to us. Our boy Trump is in power. Stick with it. Deal with it. And so they're probably trading off deals right now. But this was a game changer. This was a game. like Steve Zerilath talked about, even in New York City, even in New York State, is probably in play right now after this performance. Because one thing New York's can resonate with is a New York guy with a switchblade. They know that kind of language. They know that kind of resolve. They're commanding, how they argue. That was a New Yorker with a switchblade. And every New Yorker knows it. And basically,
and remember, it's not just New York City; it's also Syracuse, right? So this isn't just happening in New York City, which is unique to New York State.
Syracuse is the capital.
No, Albany's the capital, but Syracuse is like near.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's really like, so that's pouring up into places in New York that they have strong conservative leanings. You know,
New Yorkers can understand.
We're talking about Northern Appalachia.
Yeah, no, but what I'm talking about is New Yorkers, and I've been in New York a little while. If a New Yorker takes a look at this type of debate, to a lot of people, it seems like it's jumbled. Everybody's talking over one another. But a New Yorker, they have the sense, they understand an argument on the street. And when somebody cuts off somebody or talks over, New Yorkers get it. I'm really thinking, Steve, you actually got the magic bullet, is that this debate really won over the state of New York. And if the Democrats lose New York, it's ball game. It's over.
What I find interesting is everyone was in shock when Biden walked onto the stage. He turned up. No way, and I'm still trying to get over that. Like, that sort of threw me to start. Well, wow, he actually turned up. And I think it was 7 minutes of civil discourse talking about the Supreme Court, and then it just went Looney Tunes. And but things were exposed. Like, just quickly looked on Twitter, like someone said, "So who won the debate?" And there's 22,000 replies, and I'm not going to read all of them. But basically, people said like, Wallace lost, and they could see the blatant bias towards Biden, and he's lost a lot of credibility to certain people because of what happened tonight.
Wallace was terrible.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a commanding voice that you could listen to. He's just got a voice that you just instinctively ignore. But guys. Like,
Mr. President, Mr. President. See, that's why we need Joe Rogan, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, or as Razorfist pointed out, you're not Vice President for life. That only happens for presidents. But you can just see Rogan start off like, we could talk about the economy, but the real question is, have you tried DMT?
Yeah, exactly.
What about mushrooms?
Yeah, Wallace is like Emilio Acosta. He's he's trained in that belligerent, direct attack questioner. Because he's one of those like pit bull press guys, and he rose to the ranks like that. Like, he's got the performance talent that they're looking for, but his ideals are straight establishment, painfully establishment. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow Fox News is going to look at what Chris Wallace is to them, what Chris Wallace represents to them, and ask if Chris Wallace still is a voice that matters in the spectrum of Fox News discourse.
Who has
Steve?
Wait, go ahead, John.
Yeah, Steve. What? I know it's still early hours, but what are Fox reporting at the debate at the moment?
Say again.
What are Fox reporting about the debate at the moment?
I don't know. I wanted to check out a little bit of what CNN was saying, which was just focusing on personality stuff, because there's literally nothing that the deep state wants their mockingbirds to talk about.
Right,
they have to take time, and then they mumble, okay, we figured out what you can say about the economy. You can get off of Trump mean for 5 seconds to entice the people above XIQ in your audience.
Right. Well, Steve, what you said about Chris Wallace. So when Chris Wallace goes into work tomorrow, he's going to have a lot of people that actually know what he did and how he set Biden up. You can tell by the crisp questions when the dust settled after the knife fight, different rounds of the knife fight, and Chris Wallace actually got the chance to say, Mr. Vice President, I'm going to ask you this question, and then posed him while Trump, pulled his knife back, and he asked Biden. You could see that Biden already had the answer. He already had a smooth type thing. And so tomorrow when Chris Wallace shows up, everybody's going to know that he gave the questions to Biden. He tried to run interference. He ended up getting caught up in the whole knife fight thing. He got sliced up. Chris Wallace's best day was yesterday. He's not going to be anymore. His day's over.
Interesting enough,
I'm probably not even going to talk to him anymore.
Someone on Twitter said, "Why didn't Tucker Carlson moderate this?" And HiJacker would have loved that. I probably would as well, because what we saw with Wallace is like, what the hell is this? But what freaked me out, someone actually pointed out on Twitter as well. Does anyone feel very uncomfortable when Biden looks directly at camera? It's like, wow, Voldemort's back. Oh, yeah. Let me just have a sniff. And also, did you see that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, came out and endorsed Joe Biden and was jumped on by everybody about 3 seconds later?
Yeah, apparently there's like 20,000 comments on his website or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my
Poor
God.
Rocky.
Yeah, that's the thing that Trump does. He destroys people. He destroyed Chris Wallace. He's destroyed The Rock. I mean, he just you got to give it to this guy. There's something about President Trump. He's got some kind of mark or in Christianese, some kind of anointing on him. It doesn't matter if you talk about, we got to hook him by the pussy, and then he ends up the vote among women go up over 30 years old. Yeah, I wish my man would hook me by the pussy. Or doesn't matter if he rips off the IRS. Everybody goes, yeah. Or he calls a bunch of Christian pastors and evangelical people and all these, basically calls them hustlers and full of bullshit. And the rest of the Christians go, yeah, we're with you. And even the atheists and the agnostics say, yeah, those people are full of bullshit. They're nothing but hustlers. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens with this guy.
It's interesting as well where – sorry, Steve, just give me a moment and then follow up, please. It's interesting where, Trump wants to start a war and he's going around the world organising peace deals, and they still can't accept that. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. I just noticed a moment ago, for the third time ever, I've caught a 333. If you're on the East Coast, it's 3:33 a minute ago. And I caught that, and I rarely catch the time portals. So,
nice. A bit of neurology and frequency.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So Trump argues like me. I mentioned that out the gate when I spoke in the beginning of the roundtable, and one of the principles that I came up with. This will explain. I've talked about it a few times. I may even have talked about it when I did my interview with you, Monty. Go check out my interview on Monty Dean's channel, Wafer Thin Entertainment. I had a great time. Thank you so much. I think we did 2 of them, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, it was a double feature.
Double feature, baby. That's 2 hours of little old me. Or was it 4? I think it was 4.
Steve, the way you talk, it was 4.
So, I will describe it in the way that I've been doing my thing with my Norse connection consciously. There are 2 wolves that are the children of the wolf that wants to destroy everything, called Fenrir, and he has got 2 children. One, his name means hate, and the other, his name means shame or mockery. And hate constantly wants to swallow the sun. That's the ego, the personality, your projection, your radiance, and the way that you shine, your charisma. And Skull, the one who is shame, wants to devour your moon, which is your thoughts and emotions. And so usually we're dealing with the media is shame. And so this beast of shame that is trying to crush your mind, while also this low level of hatred that wants to demoralize you. The way that you deal with these 2 wolves is that you switch those 2 heavenly bodies against them. You use the radiance of your personality to destroy the one trying to shame your mind. It's not, the people that shame you, you're not going to be able to deal with them through like, an intellectual, like whatever. You just have to like be more likable. Just be more likable than them, and they fall apart. And that's your angle in the way that you deal with what they're saying about you and to you and such. And then the other way around is people that hate you, you want to outsmart them. You want to have a calm, cool, collective, rational train of thought, and you'll be able to conquer them every time. These are the lessons of the Indo-European ancestors, and whether Trump's doing it on purpose or not, he's doing it the right way, because that's what he's doing.
Well, an example of that during the debate was, if you remember, he was talking about how, from memory, he was talking about how the media is against him, and he just instantly just said, "But I'm used to it." And so that I could see what you're saying has been applied. He may be just subconsciously, where it's like, he's been doing this for over 4.5 years. Whenever he announced, the day before he announced he was running for president, all the gangster rappers like, Trump's our man, he's awesome, we know what he's like. He announces he's running for president, bang, completely 180 on what they thought of Trump. And the media turned, and that's what they've been doing ever since.
Yeah, something what Steve's saying, basically, to get your opponent to actually self-implode or to destroy themselves, or self-identify. And that's basically what President Trump's done with the deep state. He's got something about this guy. Once he came out, all the people in the media immediately self-identified with self-hatred of Trump. The media people, the Hollywood, the politicians, never Trumpers, the bankers, everybody came out, and they basically exposed themselves as the deep state. And so we can see it clear now that we've got this really deep infiltration of a communist, Marxist, Bolshevik group of people, which, by the way, did you know that the average federal government worker with a G16 or G17, maybe it's G15, they make like $3 million a year? We have a whole political class of bureaucracy that are making like tons of money every year, more than their like little $157,000 a year. How are they all making this money?
Oh, well, that's what Mr. Z, just give me a moment. The one thing that Biden said, like, there's less people in jobs in government, and I'm thinking he does know he's a Republican and therefore small government, right?
That is everyone thinks that's a good thing, don't they?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Z.
So, Steve, you said before something about time portals when the clock hits a certain number, like 111, 222 or something. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I don't have the gift of looking at a digital clock, or like not like as an electric, but like showing the numbers and seeing it where it's 333. I don't catch that often, but I've been catching this 333. This is like the third time I have caught it. And so little synchronicities in the universe like that, little anomalies like that, are always worth underscoring. They are signs from the fates for you to interpret as in different ways. And I'm not that familiar with the portals.
The interesting thing,
Steve, do you regularly wake up between the hours of, say, 3 and 5 a.m.?
Usually I don't go to bed till 5 a.m.
Okay, yeah.
And John had
worked the system the other way, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But John had a question that question was based on, so I wanted to answer that.
You just sparked my interest, so I threw a question off. Yeah, sorry. Cheers.
So I
Well,
find that
One way of looking at it is
I want to keep it with Trump. Let's keep it with Trump.
chill out, man.
it's basically like you're seeing source code in the Matrix. It's an element of that. It's an element of spirituality. Seeing 1111 and 333 and everything else like that. So one way of saying is your spirit guides or angels are sending you messages that you're on your right path. Now it'll be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what happens because who knows what's going to happen on Planet Collingwood? Because I seem to have picked the right day, being Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. Because if you remember when Trump did his acceptance speech, we were live, and it was a slight delay, but we actually broadcasted his acceptance speech. And in my heart, I knew. See, I'm not a big fan that Trump won. I'm a huge, massive fan that Hillary lost, and I knew that we one way of saying it, we changed timelines, and we're still here today compared to if Hillary was in. So it'd be interesting to see, like, what do people see? Now we're playing what if. How do you see the election running out? Because if the Democrats are that scared of Trump being re-elected, they'll try and swing it again. I mean, Hillary still lost and tried to cheat. But we won't know. How long will we know till the result? Because if everyone's doing mail-in ballots, they have to count them and everything else like that. And yeah,
So Monty, let me do it. Let's do a synopsis of what really happened tonight. What really happened tonight? If you actually take a look at the debate and how Trump basically resonated, let's break down the mechanics of it. How Trump resonated with the American people. We're frustrated. We're angry. We feel that we're being taken advantage of. Trump basically, he crystallized that, but he also picked up the law and order mantle and forced Biden out of that pocket. He picked up the military, the vets. He talked about I can't believe that President Trump said this, but under a Obama-Biden presidency, 300,019 vets died under the Obama Biden presidency, and so he's got a 91% approval rating. You talk about he had the passion, he had the command of the facts, he had confidence, he had the command of the data. I mean, you take a look at all the different categories. We're looking at a watershed moment right now, to where we might be looking at President Trump destroying the Democratic Party out of this, especially if he ends up winning New York or California. All the anger in the blue states. We're taking a look at something. What's happened tonight has not happened before. This is really big stuff that's going to resonate, especially in the spiritual realm. Go ahead.
Here's the I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm just going to say everything. It's not just politics. It's not just economy. It's not just what countries are doing. But I feel like the time we're in right now, I feel like everything is up for grabs. Meaning anything at this point is possible because there's too much that has gone on. And for anyone to say anything concrete these days, I feel like that's just like kind of like a bold-faced lie at this point. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to be able to predict anything with any sort of accuracy for at least the next couple years.
Yeah. We've only just begun.
Yeah.
Another really good thing that might even throw might possibly throw the West Coast in play. Like we also need to win down ticket. Too, we have to overturn the House. Excuse me, so much passion. Forgive me. We gotta overthrow, the House too, right? So on the West Coast, Trump went through the whole diatribe about forest management. That was really good. That was so on the money within the norms of years of established, how you keep and maintain your national parks and such, that makes them the beautiful things that we honor, like whether we're a Christian or a pagan or whatever we are. The New Age guys, the environmentalists. There's a common
denominator. Language for red congressional districts. Forge management is code for red congressional districts. Did you know that?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So tell us where you think we're connecting dots here for the secret message passing.
No, I'm saying is that once he brought up about the force management and the fires, once they went into all of that, basically you're talking about these are Northern California mechanic. Is mechanic on the line? He can chime in here, but there are 6 or 7 rock red rib or Republican congressional districts in California that got flipped somehow in 20. That's the other thing that got exposed.
Yeah, we got cheated, Jacker, quite frankly. I don't buy it for a second, especially in my neighborhood. There's, just in this little town, there's a lot of liberals, but the counties around the central northern part of the Sierra Nevada mountains, on the eastern side, it's all conservative. It's just mind-blowing how any of the elections sustain themselves at all. How we get this kind of, well, quite frankly, ass clown as a governor. It's insane. Same thing with Nevada. You go there. Sicily is the name of the governor in Nevada. This guy is surrounded by Republicans. Everywhere you go, it's Trump signs. How did a Democrat take over control of Nevada? I can't believe in the voting system here in these 2 states at the minimum. So, yeah, Jacker, with your point, go ahead.
Yeah, no, come on, mechanic. Come up to Western Washington. We'll get together. We'll get around a campfire. We'll figure out how to take scores. We know it's going to revolution. Come on up. Let's do it.
Campfire.
I tell you what, Washington and we don't agree on a lot of things, so I don't think I'll be headed north anytime soon.
Well, you can make an inroads and start up a resistance. No, hang on. I'm thinking of the French underground.
The point is what Steve talked about. This could translate, what happened tonight could translate into President Trump picking up the House of Representatives. If New York Bucks...
How are you making these assumptions, man? Like, what magic 8-ball are you looking into?
Well, I'm taking a look at demographics. Take a look at the structure. What he talked about in the debate.
These are all reasonable speculations with the way politics has been. With looking at
I don't know, man. The way everything's going,
the Democrat Party is allowing abuse upon its own people.
Yeah,
they're abusing their own.
Okay, so is there a reason for it? Is it just to let the election go by? Like, there's so many questions that I have from that.
Ongoing 2020 conversation. Since the lockdowns, the Democrats have done everything to destroy the economy. Since the George Floyd assassination, they've done every...
You mean the George Floyd Theater? Let's keep the facts straight.
One at a time.
Whatever, to burn down, major urban cities. They've got, they've got angry college students, throwing fists in people's faces to make them do all sorts of crazy socialist things. And all of this is hunky-dory with establishment Democrats.
Also,
I
did see today.
No one can give me a reason for it.
Dude, nobody likes what they're doing. That's the reason. That's what's going on.
Well, I can't remember which university it was, but apparently they have safe spaces set up because of the debate and President Trump. Go ahead, John.
Thank you. Have they put the Ring of Steel around the city yet?
Not yet.
Talk to us first. We have Monty. Are you still, unfortunately, inside?
Oh, yes, I'm in Hellbourne and state of Victoria.
I pray for you, man, and I'm not being funny in saying that.
No, I've been a hermit for 7 years, so what shocks me is, like, while everyone's in lockdown, that's my lifestyle. Like, crap. But go ahead, John, because you're outside of Melbourne. It's slightly different, but as an example, there's probably no cases around you, and you have to. You actually still have to wear masks.
on infections here in Victoria outside Melbourne, we have a 14-day case of 0.03%. And yet this draconian, this is, the world should be watching very closely what's going on here. We are now we're still wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
For what?
Yeah, Trump talked about it tonight.
Yeah.
He talked about stop it. Stop the kids from wearing masks. Get them back to schools. Enough. Trump won on that level. But look, Monty, it looks like we only got 5 or 6 minutes. So you want to do a plug for the radio station and for how they can, if they want more shows like, they get on Planet Collingwood, where they can basically back you up? Because I know you're not getting no money. Go ahead.
Well, the government's giving me money, so I'm kind of all right. But that's because they've put us in lockdown for, we've 6 months into a 2-week lockdown, so it's going well.
Very honest, Monty. Unbelievable. Give you a chance to raise some money, and basically, wow.
Just go to go to YouTube. Yes, John.
Go ahead.
Just go to YouTube and look for Wafer Thin Entertainment. It's a lovely shade of blue, the thing. And when you're at the channel, you just go to the banner, and at the bottom right-hand corner is a PayPal link. You just link on that, and you can donate to myself so I can feed myself and my cat because, she's my master. I'm just a slave to my cat. As well as if you've enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freeandslips.com and donate to the station so we can continue having Studio A and B and discussions like this. Since, we've got about 2 to 3 minutes to go. Any final thoughts, HiJacker?
Oh, I mean, I could go on how on so many levels, 40 different categories. It doesn't matter big pharma. It doesn't matter blue state, violence.
To interrupt, will you be on Deacon's show this week?
Yeah, you can break the whole thing down. Trump really won this thing flat out. So even though it was jumbled, it's going to resonate with people like New York. People are going to weigh on all his words, what he said. And so this was really devastating. The good thing about what happened tonight is that Joe Biden showed up and he showed that he wasn't some doddering old man that you got to get rid of so we can put Hillary in there. He is going to be the presidential candidate coming into the next 33, 34 days.
Yeah, less than 5 weeks. Yep. Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be a landslide. Praise God.
Steve, final thoughts and promote where people can find you.
I think that from here it's going to be quite the level of perfecting the message, and it's going to be pretty tight. Be on the lookout for October 2nd-ish, the full moon, because that's the beginning of the blue moon cycle of this month. And this first full moon happens on something called the Elder Portal in the Celtic seasonal ceremonial system. And all you need to know about that is that it's very good with the Halloween season that we're in, about elder veneration, ancestral calling on the spirits of those passed beyond. And a lot of that stuff is in the forefront with the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, with people understanding how old Joe Biden is. All of these things are relevant, and so something I think might happen on 10/2. And you can go to Zerilath on YouTube. That's the primary thing that I like to promote is my YouTube channel, Zerilath, Zerilath. You'll find it there with the little red Z logo, and you sub to that. I put out content quite often, and if you like tarot and runes, I give free readings from time to time during certain live streams.
Thank you very much, Steve. I just had a thought as well. The October surprise this year is going to be interesting because it's 2020, so most of us are going to go, meh. Sure, whatever. Cortek, any final thoughts before we close the show out?
I'm just following the whole Assange thing as well.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot going on, and I don't know if any journalists around the world could call themselves journalists anymore, having to put out what they're paid to do, but it's one to keep an eye on and super important as well. Over.
Well, there is John Pilger. He seems to be being a journalist compared to everyone else.
Seems to talk sense when he opens his mouth.
Yeah, he has his moments, but, he's human. Mr. Z, any passing thoughts?
No. Peace, love, and pomegranate cheese, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll leave it to our esteemed elder from the Victorian countryside. John, any thoughts to send us off?
I'm not that old, and I have nothing to promote, and I wish I wasn't here as a digital fingerprint.
No, yeah, well, yeah. See, that still works, and you're older than me, so only by a week.
Cool, but all I say to you guys is the circus is in town again.
Yep, and that's a great way to end the show.
There's much more to discuss than the US election.
Oh yeah, but this is right.
I know that's the hashtag at the moment. So cool, guys.
Yep.
I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to last.
We will be back in 6 days and 22 hours. That was Bloody Collingwood. It's Revolution Radio. We'll see you all soon. Take care.